Okay, so let me share my screen. All right. In the previous session, we were discussing the design of a notification system, and we discussed like different types of notifications, like push notification, SMS, email. All of these are the parts of notification system, and then we discussed the high level design, where we discussed like for iOS push notification, we have Apple push notifications service. For Android, we have Firebase cloud messaging. For SMS, we can use some SMS service, for example, Twilio or Nexmo. For email service, we use SendGrid or MailChimp. And then we looked at like how all of these components together will be in a high-level design. Then we also discussed the database. Like we will have two tables, user and device, because we definitely need the user information and the device information. And our notification system will first need to fetch the user information from the user table, because without not using the without knowing the user or device, like our system will not know where to send the notifications. And then we also looked at the notification sending and receiving flow, where we looked at like we had multiple, like we can have different services that can be sending the notification to this notification system. These can be some microservices, these can be different websites or some apps on your mobile phones. These are kind of clients that are sending notifications to the notification system, and there can be different types of notifications. So if it is an iOS notification, push notification, it will be going to APN. If it is an SMS, it will be going to SMS service, and then SMS service will be forwarding that to the users registered mobile number. Similarly, if it is an email, it will be sent to the registered emails. And then we looked at like what will be the responsibilities of notification system. And then we looked at how like this design we discussed like wasn't a good one, because it had the it was a poor design. It had a single point of failure, and what other problem it had, like it was hard to scale. And third one is that it has performance bottleneck, because a lot of services are sending if we get millions of requests on the same server, then definitely the server will go down, it will be overloaded, and then we will face performance bottleneck. So for that purpose, we discussed like how we can improve our design to be more scalable, fault tolerant, and more reliable. And then we looked at like we will have to separate out the cache and database from the notification server. This way we will be able to horizontal scale. We will be able to scale our notification servers. We can add more servers when the load is increased, or we can decrease the servers when the load is lesser. And we also looked at like we will be using the different like messaging queues for each of these services. So for iOS notifications, we will be using iOS messaging queue. For Android messaging queue, and so on. And we also looked at like we will be using these workers. These workers will be fetching the messages from these messaging queues. And we also discussed that all of these components, now this design is highly scalable because and reliable and fault tolerant, because we can now scale every single component of our system, right? We can scale our notification servers, we can scale messaging queues. We can add more messaging queues here when the load is more, because it's not necessary that you have like if you have millions of requests coming here, then you can add more servers, maybe send thousands of requests on one server, 1,000 on another, and so on. And we will also be placing load balancer here. Load balancer will be balancing the traffic among different servers. And then we will also be adding like we can also add more we can also add load balancer at this point as well, which will help us to scale our messaging queues based on the load. Similarly, we can add load balancer before workers and like this. So this will be highly scalable system. So this is what we discussed for the high level design. And today we will be discussing the low level design. I think last session, there were not many people in the session. So that's why I have just given a overview like what we discussed so that you know the background before we go into the design deep dive. Any questions so far?
मैम, एक क्वेश्चन था मेरा
जी।
कि जो आपने जो एक डिज़ाइन बताया ना
हम्म।
ऊपर, जिसके अंदर डेटाबेस एक थी और उसके अंदर साथ कैश ये वाला,
जी।
इसके साथ डेटाबेसेस का भी लोड बैलेंसर लग सकता है और कैशे का भी लोड बैलेंसर लगा सकते हैं।
Yeah, definitely. This is what we do. That is why we separate out the components, because we want every single system to be scalable, right? We are not just looking at the scalability, reliability, or fault tolerance of one system, one component. Whenever we are designing large scale systems, we are always looking at like how we can make every single component independent and scalable. So it includes everything, a single thing: caches, DB, messaging queues, workers, notification servers, right?
मैम, तो जो इंटरव्यूज होते हैं ना सिस्टम
Hmm.
डिजाइन के,
Hmm.
उसमें क्वेश्चन किस तरह के आते हैं? मतलब अगर हम इसको इस तरह एक्सप्लेन करेंगे जिस तरह आपने बताया ना, लोड
Hmm.
बैलेंसर सर्विस 1 2 3 की तरफ से भी लोड बैलेंसर लगा लेंगे तो वो भी स्केलेबल हो जाएगा, और
Hmm.
नोटिफिकेशन सर्वर ज़्यादा कर लेंगे, और
Hmm.
सर्विसेज के साथ जो है ना हम अगर लोड बैलेंसर लगा देंगे तो नोटिफिकेशंस सर्वर जो है ना वो भी मतलब लोड बैलेंसिंग करेंगे। ये
Hmm.
किस तरह, मतलब हम हमारे पास इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस किस तरह के आते हैं?
अच्छा, जो आपका सिस्टम डिजाइन का इंटरव्यू था, दैट इज अ वेरी ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन. सो लेट्स सपोज you are in the start of your interview, right? And your interviewer says that you have to design a notification system. This is not what he will just say. He will say, okay, you have to design a notification system, and then you start maybe he can give you some initial requirements that this is what your notification system should be able to do, right? First thing is that system design mein, you have to design a system. You have to design the high level, like how you will be designing your high level, and then you discuss the low level. In low level, you just do not discuss every single component. You discuss just one or two components based on the time. Because the thing is that these interviews are highly time critical. Like you have hardly 45 minutes to have a system design interview, and maybe you have to complete it in 35 minutes and leave the rest of the time for the questions. So and definitely you know that systems, whenever you are designing a large scale systems, especially in big tech companies, a lot of engineers are involved in designing the architecture of the system. So this is what is not expected from you in a 45 minutes interview, because even very experienced engineer cannot do that within just such a small amount of time. So what you do first thing is like you understand the problem, right? So you discuss the requirements with the interviewer. Like you can ask the questions, because you need to discuss the scope, right? You have to design the scope. You cannot build every single thing, or you cannot discuss like your system will be able to do every single thing like a real world notification system does, right? You just have a very narrow scope in the design in the interview. So you discuss this with the interview to come up with the to like agree the scope with your interviewer, right? So you can ask the questions like what kind of notifications system will be able to support. You just discuss your interviewer can tell you first few of the not few of the features. So you do not need to discuss like the design of every single feature, right? So based on these features, like you know you need to understand what might be the supported devices, and then you discuss some of the scalability discussions, right? Scalability requirements. These are your functional requirements. These are the things that we discussed in our first few sessions. I highly recommend, if you haven't looked at those sessions, I highly recommend to look at those, like how the system design interviews are structured, what is expected, and what are functional, non-functional requirements, and those kind of things, right? And how you can complete your system design interview, how you can divide the time in your interview to make sure that you are able to do this in 35 minutes. So I have discussed all of those in first few sessions. I will recommend you to look at those. But the thing is that this is open-ended. It's not like lead code questions, like you have to come up with an algorithm. No, it is open-ended, and it depends on your experience and your own you have to come up with the design, and then you should be able to defend your choices. Like if I am using for example this database, if I'm using NoSQL over relational database, then why I am using this, what will be the trade-offs. These are the things that are being evaluated in your system design interview. So this is the thing that you need to do. You discuss the requirements with the interviewer, then you agree with the design scope, and then you look at the high-level design. In high-level design, you do not discuss every single component. You just discuss how different components of parts of the system will work together to make your whole system. And once your interviewer is agreeing with your high-level design, then the interviewer might ask you might ask you, okay, tell me what the notification server will do. Just go into the deep dive of this server, and that is where low level design comes. So this one is a high level, or the user might ask how you will be handling your messaging queues and retrying mechanism, those kind of things. So this is how your system design interviews usually work. These are not like you are given just this maybe diagram, and the interviewer will start asking question, okay, how this thing will work. You have to design everything yourself, and then you will be then interviewer might ask some more questions to go into detail or maybe improve the proposed design, right? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right. Let's look at the design deep dive. First thing is that we have to make sure that our system is reliable, right? So we need to, because these are some of the requirements of our system, that the system should be highly reliable, scalable, because this is the real time. Like if you look at the functional requirements, this is what we discussed with the interviewer. Should the system be real-time system? And we discussed that, let's say, soft real-time system, we want the notifications to be received as soon as possible. But if there is some in under high workload, some delay might be expected, but not a lot, right? So because of that, we want our system to be as near to a real-time system as possible. So for that purpose, we have to make sure that our system is reliable. So first thing in reliability, we want to make sure that how we can prevent the data loss, right? Because notifications can be highly critical, right? If, for example, it's a notification of a transaction, an order is placed, and we are not sending that that notification is failed somewhere. Let's suppose a user placed an order on Amazon website, right? And the user placed an order, and the user is expecting to receive a confirmation. And but unfortunately, because our system, let's suppose, is not reliable, and the notification in between somehow in the process get lost, and then it will not reach the user. So this means that system is not reliable. So we may need to make sure that our system is able to prevent such kind of data loss. So we can afford to the notifications to be delayed, but we cannot afford these to be lost. So to satisfy this requirement, what we do is we just keep a notification log. So let's suppose if your notifications are coming to the messaging queue, and somehow these are lost, maybe messaging packets are lost somewhere due to some network partitioning or anything. These are the things that we discussed in initial requirements, like how network partitioning can affect your system reliability or consistency in these things, right? Or availability. So we can what we can do is we can keep a notification log where we can put all of the, whenever, for example, a worker is not able to, maybe the server is down. Let's suppose, let's look at a use case. So there was a notification that was in the queue in iOS push notification messaging queue. And then this worker, like we are discussing in large scale systems, like, right? So we have multiple workers here because and we can have multiple iOS push notification messaging queues here. So let's suppose the traffic is like being distributed from using the load balancer, and what happens is like somehow one of the worker goes down, the notification that was sent on this server, it goes down due to some reason, and is not able to send the notification to the APNs, right? So what happens is we do not want to lose it. Maybe there is some issue with the messaging structure, or due to any reason we are not able to send the notification. So instead of discarding that, what the server does, what the worker does, it sends that notification to the notification log. It stores it there, and then it tries to, like, it retries after some time, maybe after after maybe 1 minute retry to send that to the APN. And let's suppose in the worst case scenario, we try multiple times and still not able to send that notification to the user, because there might be an error in the there might be an issue in the messaging structure because of which we might be getting some error. It's not being able to be pushed to the APN. So what we do is we continue to retry, and then what we do is we do not say like we will retry forever, because that is not a good scenario. What we can do, we can set a retry limit of maybe 10. So if after 10 times retrying 10 times, we are not able to send the notification, then there is something wrong with the messaging or something. We need to we need to investigate it further. So we just, for that purpose, we store these information in the notification log. So whenever so at every single notification that is being sent out, even if it was errored out, is present in the notification log, so that when we have to um, look at, like, so we are able to like investigate like what happened, why this notification was not able to send. This is what also happens in your own call rotations, if you guys are aware of, if you are already working in some companies. And so what happens, like, these notification logs are also helpful. So let's suppose some of the notifications were not able to send to the users. So what happens, these are stored in the notification log, and then after some retries, we are not able to send the notifications. So this will be sent to our analytics service. When it is sent to analytics service, users, we will get the you will get the notification like in the analytics server that these messages are not being able to send. We need to investigate. So developers who are on call rotations, they will be getting these alerts, and then they will be looking, then they can either manually or automatically. These days, actually, AI agents are helping, like being able to fix these issues. So, but usually what happens is like the person who is on call rotation, he will be looking at the issue, fix it, and then so that next time the same issue doesn't happen. So this is how you make sure that your system is reliable, using these logs, using analytics service, alerts, and fixing issues and all those kind of things. Okay, next thing is like, do we want the users to receive a notification exactly once? So maybe ideal scenarios might be we want user to only send the notification, maybe in those scenarios where the notification is not very critical. But if there are payment reminders, right, there might be notifications about payment reminders. So definitely we do not want those kind of notifications to be sent once. We want such kind of notifications to be sent after every 24 hours. We want to send the notification to a user that they have some payment pending, right? Pending payment. So these are kind of notifications are not sent only once. So therefore, we need to make sure that our system is able to handle notifications that need to be sent multiple times. And but one problem with this can be like is like, since our system is distributed, so if our system is not reliable, what could happen is like uh, suppose if it's a payment reminder, right? So its system is like a distributed system. So what could happen in a bad scenario, like the same notification was sent on this worker, same notification was sent on this worker, same notification was sent on this worker. So a user might be receiving 3 payment reminders at the same time. So these are the duplicates, which is very frustrating for the user, right? So we want to avoid such kind of scenarios, and to avoid such kind of scenarios, we can perform some simple dedupe logic. So we can look at, like, if a notification event first time arrives in our notification server, we can check if we have seen the similar notification ID before, right? So if it is there, we can discard it. Otherwise, we can send out the notification. So we can just definitely in your real-time systems, this dedupe logic is not that simple. But for now, we can discuss that we can have a simple dedupe logic to avoid sending duplicate notification at the same time. And next thing is, like, we can discuss some additional components and considerations. Like, so like, we are right now discussing like how we are. So we discussed the reliability, right? Now we want to look at, like, how we can make our system generic, right? Yes, Asad.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम, आई एम रियली सॉरी, मैंने थोड़ा सा डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो गया था। आप नोटिफिकेशन लॉग को दोबारा बता सकती हैं ये क्या है? नॉट इन डिटेल, जस्ट थोड़ा सा बता दें
Yep,
प्लीज़।
sure. अच्छा, notification log ना is like is to make sure कि आपकी ना, because you want your system to be reliable, right? You want your system to be reliable, and you do not want any of the notifications to be lost. You want to keep track, like, what notifications are sent, because some notifications might be critical, some might be related to transactions and those kind of things. So you want to make sure that your system is not losing any notifications. So for that purpose, what we do is, we are keeping a notification log. This can be a database, this can be a simple file system, right? This can be a NoSQL database, document database, or whatever. Right now, we do not need to discuss, but this is one more thing that interviewer might ask you in the interview, like how you will be designing your notification log. That might be another deep dive discussion. But right now, like, we have a notification log, and what we do is, like, if a notification is like like, if the worker is not able to send a notification to the APN due to any error, so what we do is, we just instead of discarding that notification, we store that in the notification log to investigate later. We can either use a retry mechanism to retry it later, because one possible reason for this notification not to be sent could be maybe APNs are overloaded, or any other reason. The structure is fine, notification is without any errors, but due to maybe overloading the or network issue or network partitioning, the notification was not sent to the APN, or maybe APN server was down or whatever. So that could be one scenario. That notification was not able to send, so we just store that in the notification log, and then we retry it after for some time. So if retry is successful, then we do not need to keep it in the notification log. But if let's suppose it is sorry, in notification log, like, definitely we'll keep all of the data, but once it is there, then we do not need to worry about, like, we will be able to successfully send the notification to the APN, right? Because we stored that in the notification log. Other scenario could be like, there is an error in the message, like the structure is not correct or whatever. Even if we try multiple times, maybe we have 10 retry limits, and after 10 retry limits, we are not able to send the notification, then a notification log will be helpful in investigating. Like, we can send an alert to the developer that this message is not being able to send even after 10 retries, so you need to investigate what is wrong with this. So we use this notification log to make sure that our system is reliable, and we are not losing any of the notifications. Right? Right?
थैंक यू सो मच।
Okay.
मैम, एक और चीज़ क्वेश्चन है कि जब हमारे पास इतने ज़्यादा नोटिफिकेशन आ रहे होंगे, लाइक डेफिनेटली बिलियंस में तो होंगे अगर हमारा सिस्टम बहुत बड़ा है, तो उस केस में हमें ये किस तरह से पता चलेगा कि कौन सा नोटिफिकेशन सेंड नहीं हुआ?
अच्छा, that is definitely you are storing, because notification has an event. एक event happen हुआ, like we discussed that here, right? like we discussed in the high level design, that some event, due to some event, the notification was triggered, right? This is we discussed in the previous session, that how notification is triggered. So due to some event, maybe a user placed an order on an Amazon website, and that was an event due to which a notification was triggered, and then that comes to the notification server. So definitely whenever we have a new notification is coming, we have an event ID, and that is sorry. Okay. So what we do is, okay, due to an event, a notification was triggered. So we are storing event ID, and we know that this event is related to, like, came from this client, like, because there is thing like we have relational DB, and we know the relationship between, like, where the notification came, which IP address sent the notification, and to which users this should go. So due to this event ID, we know that what kind of notification it is, right? Which notification it is. And then based on this we can like, because we have multiple, we have all of the information related to that notification stored in our database, so we know that which notification it is.
मैम इसमें ऐसा हो सकता है कि अगर हम ये देख लें कि जो नोटिफिकेशन सेंड होने में फेल हो रहा है, तो हम उसको डेटाबेस में स्टोर करवा दें और साथ में उसका स्टेटस कर दें फेल्ड, तो वो डेटाबेस में ही स्टोर होता रहे जो नोटिफिकेशन सेंड हो गया और जो नहीं हुआ।
Yes, that is what is stored in notification log. That is why we have this notification log here. Like, this is not, this notification log is different from this database, right? So this is for storing the status of the notifications, like the notifications that are being sent, that are being failed, that are in retry status, of all those kind of information, right? And this is the database where we have other information stored. So this is where notification servers communicate with the database to get the maybe emails where it needs to be sent, where the notification needs to be sent, the user IDs, the devices, those kind of information, that is stored in the database. But for this, we do not keep it in, because we want our system to be scalable. So we want it to be as independent as possible, right? So that's why we keep a separate database server for notification logs. So notification log itself is a database.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
Okay. So next thing is okay, so one more thing is, like, because the thing is, we do not want, like, every time we do not want because we are sending notifications, so we want, like, these notifications are structured. We just do not want random kind of content to different to every user. Like, every time, for example, a notification is sent, we want, like, this is exactly in the same structure as we want. So for that purpose, what we do is we use notification templates. Notification templates helps in standardizing the structure of your notifications that you are trying to send. So what you do is, and this is not only helpful in standardizing the structure, this is also helpful in debugging the different parts, components of your notification system, right? So what we do is, like, for this kind of system where we have millions of notifications per day, right? So we define a format, like in this format, we want our notifications to be sent in this specific format. So for that purpose, we define some notification templates. Let's suppose we have this template, we have body and some other information, and here we can have some notification placeholders. So for different items, we just keep some of the static content same, and some of the dynamic content can be placed inside the placeholders. So this can make sure that we are maintaining a consistent format in reducing the margin error. So notification templates are helpful for standardizing your notification format. And then we can also have have some notification settings. So what we can do is, like, we want our users to give some control, because if you know that whenever you like download like, let's suppose if you have WhatsApp, like, so you on WhatsApp, you have the ability, like, the user has the control to either switch off the notifications or these kind, like you can have some settings. So we want that our system is providing that capability to user to set their notification settings. So for that purpose, we can we can store this kind of information in another table of the database, where we can have like user ID, like this user has these kind of settings set in their mobile devices, or for if it is for a different app, because maybe if it's a game, like let's suppose a user has installed multiple games, and for few games, like every game has different settings, right? Some settings they have might be they might have switched off notifications. For some games, they might not have switched off the notifications. So these kind of information, all of this can be stored in notification setting tables. And we also want to rate limit, right? So what we do is, like, we do not want to overwhelm our users with too many notifications, because if you are going, yes, Ifan.
मैम आपने नोटिफिकेशन सेटिंग बता रहे थे ना,
Hmm.
इसके अंदर आपने ये तो यूजर का टेबल है ना,
Hmm.
तो इसके अंदर चैनल जो लिखा हुआ है, ऑप्ट इन तो मुझे समझ आ गई कि ये नोटिफिकेशन ऑन और ऑफ करने के लिए, लेकिन ये चैनल किस लिए होगा?
अच्छा, ये हमने डिस्कस किया था कि वी कैन हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ टाइप ऑफ नोटिफिकेशंस. वी कैन ईदर हैव
ओके
पुश
ओके, मैं समझ
नोटिफिकेशन.
गया, ठीक है ठीक, सही सही सही, ठीक।
Okay. Acha, next thing is like we do not want to overwhelm our users with too many notifications. So we do not want कि जो है ना user को 1 second या 1 minute के अंदर thousands of notifications are being sent. Definitely user will get overwhelmed. So to avoid this kind of scenario, we want to rate limit the users. We also discussed like how we implement rate limiting and what is rate limiting in some previous sessions. Like in this scenario, we can just rate limit based on the user devices, like on this specific user device or to this specific user. Maybe in 1 hour, we just do not want to send more than 10 notifications. So this is what you do in rate limiting. And and this is also helpful because if you are not rate limiting the users, right? If you are sending a lot of notifications in some small amount of time, then user will get frustrated and will turn off the notifications. So this way, like the probably users will, this can also be harmful for your business. So let's suppose if you are sending some marketing emails and user has turned off the notification, then you are losing a lot of customer base. And if these are important notifications for payment reminders, then users are also missing some important notifications. So you make sure that your system is able to handle rate limiting. And then we also want to have retry mechanisms. This is what we discussed, like if that we want our system to be reliable. So if notification is not being able to send, then we want to store this in the notification log and investigate it further or retry it later to see that if it is being sent. So this is a scenario where third-party service is not able to, let's suppose from the messaging queue, we were able to send it to the third-party service here, right? So we were able to send it. We were able to send it to the APN, but APN due to some reason was not able to send that notification to the user. So then it will communicate back with the worker that I am not able to send the notification, and then that will be stored in the notification log. And then worker will retry it after some time, maybe after 1 minute, will try to resend the notification to APN, and maybe this time APN is able to send the notification to the user. So we want to implement the retry mechanism in our system as well. And and we want security as well because we do not want to send notifications to unauthorized users. This is also important, that we do not want, maybe if we are sending payment reminders, we do not want to send it to the unauthorized user. We only want to send it to the users to whom this notification should be sent. So we also want to implement security in our push notifications. And next thing is that we want to monitor our queue notifications. This is where monitoring comes where we discuss, like if you have on call rotations and there is something, some messages are not, or maybe your queues are being overloaded, or these kind of things. So you want to monitor your queue, you want to implement the monitoring as well in your system. So so you want probably to want to look at one key metric. So we also discussed probably in some few systems like how we can implement monitoring in our system, because that is also a critical thing in your large scale system, that you want to monitor your system, right? You want to have some metrics based on maybe how many users are being how many users are registering every single day on your websites, and how much traffic is being sent, like how what is the traffic per day on your website, and those kind of things. So these are some of the metrics you want to have monitored, right? So in our notification system, one probable key metric could be like, we want to know how many total number of queue notifications we have in our messaging queues, so that we know that how much load we have, right? So, and based on this key metric, we can like we can add load balancers and add elastic load balancing or whatever based on this key metric. If the notification, there are a lot of queued notifications in your queues, then we will know that you have to scale your queues to be able to store more notifications and make your system as near to real time as possible, and add more workers and those kind of things. So 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 that's why this will help you to make sure that your if your queues are if your queue notifications are very large, then definitely your workers will not be able to handle. Workers will get overloaded, right? Workers will get overloaded and they will not be able to process the notifications in fastly. So that's why when you have the, you know, that the total number of queue notifications is exceeding a threshold. So let's just tell the load balancer. Load balancer will automatically know, because load balancer will have some health checks that it will be checking if the so let's suppose in this graph, if there are peaks at some times. So at 11:15 p.m. there was a peak time when the notifications were when we had a lot of queued notifications in the server. So what Elastic Load Balancer will do, based on its health check, it will add more servers. It will add more workers. Okay, so it will know that I have to add. So let's suppose previously you had 3 servers. So based on the traffic, it will probably add 2 more servers on your systems to distribute the traffic so that your notifications are sent as fast as possible. So this is how you will be the monitoring the queues will be helpful in scaling your system. And last thing is that you also want to have some events tracking, because you know that your notifications have status, right? So your notification, like you have one status could be that you have started the process of sending the notification, and now the notification is in the pending state. Maybe it's right now in the queue, like waiting for the notification to be sent. Like right now, maybe it's here on the back of the queue, so it is in the pending state. And once it is successfully sent, then its status will be updated to sent. When it is delivered, sent mean that it is sent to your third party service, and then your third party service is able to deliver it to the user device. So that is when it's changed to the deliver. And maybe we can also store a click event event as well. So users might also be clicking the notifications to see what notification they are seeing, right? Or there is one more possibility, like if we are sending the emails, then users might also be unsubscribing, right? So we want to store all of these information, and we want to track like at which state which notification is at what state. If it might also be in error state as well. So if it is in error state, then we will need to investigate it further. So this is what we also want to implement in our system to have events tracking. Yes.
मैम ये जो आपने अलर्ट लिखा हुआ है ना, तो यहाँ पर इसके लॉग्स को मेंटेन रखना पड़ेगा, या इवेंट
Yeah.
जो प्रोसेस होता है वो इतना मतलब होता है कि उसको पता होता है कि मेरे एरर्स आए हुए हैं या नहीं आए हुए हैं?
अच्छा, इसमें आपकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे डिपेंड करता है। यू विल हैव टू डेफिनेटली, आपके एक तो बैक एंड के ऊपर आपने स्टोर किया है ना कि आपका इवेंट जो है नोटिफिकेशन लॉग के अंदर आपने स्टोर की ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन, दैट इज सम काइंड ऑफ डेटाबेस वेयर यू हैव स्टोर्ड दिस इंफॉर्मेशन। सो यू नो दैट योर इन लाइक सो लेट्स सपोज बैक एंड पे डेटाबेस के अंदर ये इवेंट आईडी है, ठीक है, और ये इसका स्टेटस है, राइट। सो at initially you started, so you set its status to start when it is pending. You updated the status to pending. When it is on sent, you updated the status to sent. If it is in error, then you updated the status to error. So this is how all of your events have a status that is stored, and at what time you can also have maybe a time, updated time, created at, updated at, you those kind of things to know that at what time the status was changed to error. One design also could be like you probably want to store all of the notifications for each event, like all of the states, maybe multiple. Maybe you will have a states table, right? An event ID, and then you can store it at maybe 11:15 p.m. The status was start. At 11:20 p.m. the status was pending. At 11:21 p.m. the status was sent, or those kind of things. But definitely I think that design would not be good because we will have to store a lot of information that you don't need. Maybe you just only want to stay, you only care about the status of error and delivery. So deliver. So because that is what you need to track to make sure that your system is reliable and is not losing any information. So yeah, so you store this information in your notification log. Okay. So once this is what I will our updated design will look like in the end. So so we have like, we know that we had here multiple services, service 1, service 2, service N. These could be the games, apps, websites. So these are some of the services or some different components of your website, right? Order component, order delivery component, or those kind of things, right? So these are the services that are sending the notification whenever an event happens in these services. These are sending those events, those notifications to the notification server. And now this notification server is also scalable based on the, we know that the traffic is like, we can have millions or billions of notifications sent per day from multiple services. So this is all definitely a scalable system, which scalable, like we will have servers added, removed based on the traffic. And then we will have like within the notification servers, we will have authentication and rate limiting implemented. We will have caches, we will have separate cache components, separate databases, separate database servers, where we will have device setting, user info stored in our database. And then here we will be like here we will also have the analytics service that will be like that will be analyzing the status of our services. So here, like right now, like the system, like the notification server hasn't sent your notification to the messaging queue, right? So we know that right now our notification is in pending send state. So we send that to the analytics service that right now the notification is in pending state. So that analytics service is able to track it, right? So once it is sent to the so let's suppose this notification was for iOS push notification, so it will be sent to the iOS messaging queue. If it was for Android, it would have been sent to the Android PN messaging queue. If it was an SMS, then it would have been sent to the SMS service messaging queue. If it was email, then it would have been sent to the email messaging queue. So right now, let's suppose it was for iOS, so it was sent to the iOS messaging queue, messaging queue. And here it will be like this worker will be getting the and we know that these components are also scalable based on the traffic. So these can be scaled up and or scaled down, right? So now worker will fetch the message from the front of the queue, and then it will try to send it to the third party service, which is Apple push notification for iOS. So and now this this worker will update the analytics service that if let's suppose the But first, let's think. So we are on the worker. Like worker fetched the message from the messaging queue, and the message structure was totally fine. There was not any issue. Worker was able to send it to the APN. APN was able to send it to the end user. So APN will update the worker that I have successfully sent the notification to the iOS. So then we know that we do not need to perform any retry on error thing. We will be just sending this to the analytics service that the APN like this we will send this to the analytics service that notification is being sent, right? And then we will, if it is failed due to some error, then we will be we also already have it stored in the notification log, so we will retry it on next time, right? And definitely we will be having the notification template. This worker will be getting the so if you have if you are in the messaging queue, so iOS push notification, it is coming from the iOS push notification, and worker knows that I am the worker for the iOS push notifications. So based on the event, it will be getting the respective template from the notification template and fill up the based on the event ID, right? Or notification ID, it will be getting that specific template for the specific messages or specific notifications. It will be, if it's, let's suppose, for the notification for the order, or it is notification for payment reminder, then it will be getting the specific template from the notification template and fill up the placeholder values with the actual values for that event, and then send the notifications to the APNs. So this is how your overall design will look like, and this is how your system flow will work in the final design of your notification system. Any questions here? Yes,
मैम,
Aswan.
इन शॉर्ट ये कि जो सिस्टम डिज़ाइन इंटरव्यू होता है, ये बेसिकली अंडरस्टैंडिंग है एक कैंडिडेट की कि उसको कौन कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजीज का इल्म है, राइट?
Yep.
इन
तो
डेप्थ
इसके
ना भी हो,
लिए
लेकिन उसको पता हो कि वो जिस तरह मोंगोडीबी आपने कहा, कैसेंड्रा आपने कहा, इस तरह डिफरेंट आपने मतलब सर्विसेज का कहा, तो मतलब एक कैंडिडेट के अंदर इतनी कैपेबिलिटी हो कि वो उसको हर एक चीज़ पता हो, कौन कौन सी सर्विस क्या चीज़ करती है, राइट?
yes. Yep. अच्छा, it depends on the interview के मतलब किस level पे interview हो रहा है. So if you are on a you are interviewing for a senior level role. At that point, you definitely need to know a lot about different technologies, how every single component, like what are the advantages or disadvantages or trade-offs between different services, right? Or technologies. But if you are a fresh grad, let's suppose, so in that case, your system design will not be that hard, right? In that case, you just need to know like how your different components of the service, like you do not need to know like what analytics service you will be using, right? Or which database you will be probably how your database will be designed, and those kind of things, right? So for fresh grad, the system design is not that not that complicated, but definitely for senior level roles, you need to know a lot of things, because that is what is expected from you.
मैम, जो मिड मिड लेवल और सीनियर लेवल इन दोनों के लिए यही सेम पैटर्न होता है, राइट?
Yep.
या मिड लेवल के लिए थोड़ा मतलब इजी होता है और सीनियर लेवल के लिए थोड़ा हार्ड होता है,
Yep.
क्या होता है मतलब?
Senior levels के लिए definitely it is expected to be hard, because they have worked a lot. Like if let's suppose if you are interviewing for staff software engineer role at Google, then definitely you are expected to know a lot, because you are already working in industry for more than, I don't know, 10 years or those kind of things. So you are expected to know a lot about technologies and the trade-offs between them. But if you are a mid-level engineer who has worked for 2 to 3 years, then definitely they will expect that level of knowledge from you.
मैम आपकी AWS में इंटर्नशिप भी हुई है, राइट?
हम्म
तो
AWS में नहीं, मैंने Amazon में की थी, AWS में नहीं। AWS सेपरेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो Amazon की, बट दैट इज
जी
डिफरेंट।
तो
लाइक Amazon के अपने डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है ना, तो yeah.
जी जी, तो आपकी जो है ना जो इंटरव्यू हुआ था वो भी इस तरह का था, या उसमें क्या क्या चीज़ें थी?
अच्छा नहीं, उसमें सिर्फ लीड कोड था और उसमें बिहेवियरल इंटरव्यू था, क्योंकि इंटर्नशिप में आपसे सिस्टम डिजाइन एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं होता।
अच्छा, लीड कोड सिर्फ आपसे पूछा था, राइट?
लीड कोड था और बिहेवियरल इंटरव्यूज, जिसमें वो आपसे लीडरशिप रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन जो हैं वो करते हैं।
ओके ओके।
Okay, does anyone else has any more questions? If not, then maybe we can end the session. Okay, thank you for joining and making the sessions interactive.
मैम,
थैंक यू मैम।
अल्लाह हाफिज़।